please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. This is the Porter County Board of Commissioners meeting on September 19th, 2017. We'll move right into the agenda. We have a consent agenda, which is approval of minutes for August 15th and August 29th, approval of payroll August 21st, September 5th, approval of claims August 17th, August 24th, and September 7th, and a comp time report, which, as you're aware, we publish every month, and that is also a report that is available for anybody to come in and take a look at whenever. So with that, I'll open up the floor for approval on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Next up is Memorial Opera House, Scott McDonald, with a plethora of agreements. Scott, please come forward, and you can be the person that can name all these folks in their agreements. Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Yeah, thank you, Scott. How you doing?
I'm well, thanks. Yourself?
Good.
Good. I will get through this as fast as I can. We have Aaron Kessler, Promotional Service Agreement, Torella Mimidis for Artistic Services Agreement, Kevin Bride for Artistic Services Agreement, Madeline Hadeen for an Artistic Services Agreement, Christopher Haddad for Artistic Services Agreement, Stephen Sinicki for an Artistic Services Agreement. Those are all for A Christmas Story, as well as Deborah Haddad, Jennifer Lundeen, and Bobby Sue Kabachkov. And then we have Deborah Haddad, Donald Beck, Joy Davidson, Jen Lundeen, and Angela Hyde for You Can't Take It With You, our current show on stage. And then we have Matt Chandler, Louis Stahl, and Jeff Otto for our Lunchtime Cabaret, along with Valerie Bellog.
All right, I'd open that up to the floor for approval of these contracts.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Memorial Opera House service agreements as orated by Scott. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Stay right there.
Okay.
We're going to take care of your other stuff here. We're going to move the agenda around a little bit.
Thank you.
Since you're up here. We have an ordinance for the deposit of funds received from the Indiana Arts Commission grant. This is second reading. I'd open up that to the floor, to the commissioners for any questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this at second reading, an ordinance for the deposit of funds received from the Indiana Arts Commission grant. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number two, we have another ordinance. This is a second reading as well, and this is for the deposit of funds received from the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. And I believe this is the grant for the capital improvement plan that the federal government is, okay.
Correct.
This is second reading also. Any questions from the board?
Nope. Congratulations again, and
Thank you.
motion to approve.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to create an ordinance for the deposit of funds received from the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. This is second reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Scott McDonald. Go fill up the Memorial Opera House.
That's my plan. Thank you.
Yep. We'll move back into the new business where we have the commissioners. We have an appointment to the Chicago-Gary Airport Board Authority. I believe right now that position is filled by David Fagan, who currently resides in Portage. I believe, I think he was the only application we had for reappointment. I'd like to open up the floor for the board for that. Any questions or comments?
We make a nomination or a motion?
A nomination for the appointment.
Okay. I nominate we reappoint David Fagan.
We have a motion and a second for the Board of Commissioners to appoint David Fagan to the Chicago-Geary Airport Board Authority. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have a memorandum of understanding between the Porter Township, Indiana trustee and Porter County 911. Scott, I'll flip this over to you.
This is the memorandum of understanding that has been already approved by Porter Township and their board. This is to allow us to have one of our new 911 towers at their facility. And this is just a memorandum of understanding between the two boards as far as who's responsible for the upkeep and care of that. So this is one of the tower agreements, one of the new towers that need to be put up, so I would recommend approval.
Any comments or questions from the other board members?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second for a memorandum to approve a memorandum of understanding between Porter Township, Indiana trustee and Porter County 911. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up on the list is Aqualand. This is a 911 tower lease agreement. Scott, why don't you...
This is again, for one of the new 911 towers as part of the 800 megahertz upgrade system. This tower happens to be up in the port, and this is the tower license agreement that we have worked with Mr. Tom Tuttle, the representative from Aqualand, and been able to get through this agreement, and he has signed it, and again, I would recommend approval.
Oh, good. Any other comments or questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Aqualand 911 tower lease agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next on the list. Oh, shit, man. There you go. I don't have my public, not well. I have this, an ordinance on the reverting fund for the animal shelter.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you have?
Yeah. But you forgot, you skipped that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, trying to find my way here. Next on the agenda, we have an IT audit consultant agreement. I think everybody understands, if you follow this board and maybe the papers, that the Board of Commissioners have called for an audit of our IT department at Porter County Government, and this is the first step to start down that path. The Commissioners have met with RSM, which is one of the largest public accounting firms in the in the world. They're one of the top 5. They've done extensive amount of work in government audit and government IT. We felt that they were the right match for what we're asking for and what we're looking for here is the county. This is a services agreement for the audit. I believe the range of the audit will come in between anywhere from $22,000 to $24,000. But with that, they'll be assessing the entire county's infrastructure needs when it comes to IT. So with that, I will open up the floor to any board members, any comments or questions that they may have regarding this agreement.
Looking forward to getting it done, I think. Another thing that's long overdue.
I would also point out, I think they had given us a roughly 8 to 10 week lead time for this report to come back. Some of you that are in here that are department heads or elected officials, you'll be getting phone calls, I'm sure, at some point to these folks wanting to discuss and talk to you about some of the things that are going on in various departments. So if you are contacted, it is legit. So with that, I'll open up the floor to the board to take action on this agreement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the RSM agreement with Porter County Government for an IT audit. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we're going to create an ordinance creating a non-reverting fund for receipt of animal shelter fees paid by municipalities for the Porter County Animal Shelter. This is first reading, so with that, we will pause the Commissioners' meeting. We will open up into a public hearing meeting, and we will be asking for public comment from anybody in this room wishing to speak. There'll be 3 opportunities to speak on behalf, and there'll be 3 opportunities to speak against. So with that, we will move into the public portion of the meeting. We will start with anybody wishing to come forward to speak against this ordinance. This is the first call. Second call, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance. Third and final call, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance. We will now turn and have, for first call, anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance. Second call, anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance. Third and final call, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the ordinance. We will now close the public hearing. We'll now move back into the Commissioners' meeting, open up the floor for any comment from the other board members.
This is just a housekeeping matter. This is to keep the funds separated that the cities and towns are paying. This is to keep a clear line of accounting on the money that's coming in from the local municipalities, whether it's for the shelter service or for the animal control. So this would be for the actual shelter services paid. That's why we, when going through the budgeting process for the animal shelter, it became apparent that currently the money is, while it's obviously being accounted for separately, is still sitting in one fund. So this would put the funds, it would put the money in the 2 funds.
So creating another fund for transparency is
Correct.
basically what we're doing here.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for an ordinance creating a non-reverting fund, Fund Number 4007, for receipt of animal shelter fees paid by municipalities for the Porter County Animal Shelter. This is first reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will be hearing the second reading at the next Board of Commissioners meeting. Next, we have a capital improvement plan discussion, and wanted to, there's been a lot of things probably in the paper. Some of you are aware, some of you may not be aware. With that, the Board of Commissioners would like to, reaffirm our position as to where we're at on this capital improvement plan. The second reading and the final vote will be taken on this capital improvement plan next Tuesday at the County Council meeting for a second reading of the $30 million bond. But with that, prior to the meeting, we felt as a Board of Commissioners, since there seems to be a lot of rhetoric and a lot of other things out there in the paper, we thought we would once again reaffirm our position and let everybody know what we're thinking and what we're all about here. With that, I'd like to read a prepared statement. We've already sent this statement to all the newspapers, but we're going to indulge you for a few minutes here to let everybody know what we're up against, or what we're up to, I guess. In July, the Porter County Board of Commissioners proposed a Building for the Future capital upgrade plan, which was developed to address long-deferred maintenance and future space needs for county buildings and infrastructure. Our priorities were to address needs, not wants, anticipate future space needs, and to do so in a cost-effective way with no tax increases. We spent many months evaluating our facilities and examining options, choosing 6 projects that met those priorities. One of those projects, the North County Complex in Portage, has been the topic of recent controversy. Nearly 40 years ago, the county purchased 13 acres of land on Willow Creek Road, just south of Highway 6, and built the current structure. County officials understood then as we do now, that the location of this building is tantamount given the facility's expected function. It is a location that is easily accessible to all Porter County residents, more so for Portage, and will become more convenient with the potential of the Willow Creek extension. Over the last several months, we've examined every consideration, studied every option, including downtown Portage, and evaluated potential costs before coming to the conclusion that improving and adding on to the existing facility was the most rational and cost-effective decision. Our predecessors had the foresight to include enough land to allow for expansion based on future needs, which is exactly what we've proposed. After our plan was developed, presented, and ready for final approval, Portage city officials presented us a cost-benefit analysis proposing a partnership to build a complex on Central Avenue in downtown Portage. We've examined their analysis, individually met on at least 2 separate occasions with Portage officials, and have had lengthy telephone discussions about it with Mayor Snyder and City Council members of Prisco and Lynch. The analysis was deficient in the cost assumptions. Building an entirely new facility from ground up would be much more expensive than anticipated in the analysis. It does not account for higher construction costs of a multi-story building as compared to a single-story building. It fails to account for the additional cost of building courtrooms versus standard office space, or federal regulations, which require specific and expensive security protocols for new judiciary buildings. In 20 years, if we need additional space, there would be nowhere to go. The Central Avenue location does not consider access needs for all county residents. Almost every resident in Porter County can easily access the current location from Highway 6. The downtown location would require most residents to travel farther in congested traffic. This is exactly why the current North County complex was originally built on Willow Creek Road and not in downtown Portage. We have made every effort to explain our reasoning with Portage officials who are willing to listen. As county commissioners, it is our responsibility to represent all county residents. We continue to believe that our current plan is the most responsible and the most cost-effective choice for the county taxpayers. Thank you. I'd like to open up the floor for any other commissioners to add, take away, delete. Oh, we can. Yep. All right. Any other comments or questions from the other board? I would also like to say, as we've been working through our plan over the last several months, specifically the last 3-4 weeks, through working with County Attorney McClure, myself, and the other 2 commissioners, we have somewhat come at an impasse on trying to negotiate for the old jail, which is in downtown Valparaiso. The sellers, if anybody follows what we do up here, we had publicly went out and hired 2 appraisals based off state statute of how we can only pay for things. The appraisals came in, they were $200,000 apart from very reputable appraisal companies that are out there doing this type of work. The amount, then they sort of backed into the amount of what we could spend for the building. The county made that offer. It was not accepted. They felt that they wanted to negotiate some more, but our handcuffs are tied, so we can't do that. So we now have shifted gears, and if anybody remembers that it come through all of our capital improvement board meetings, we've always talked about a Plan B, which we had a Plan B, and we are now researching and looking into filling out the courtyard in this building here, and filling out this area in the back. We also have discussed and talked with the architect of record of this building. We also have found out that we have the foundations in place to be able to add another level to our parking garage as well, too, without doing any major infrastructure improvements on our foundations or anything else. So with that, the dollar amount that's in the plan is virtually the same amount that we had down here So from our perspective, the plan has not changed. It's just changed for real estate purposes, that we will be now entering into looking at this area out here, and based on what we can do out here on some preliminary discussions, we feel that we'll be able to get the needed space that we will need for that to continue on with the same program that we were doing before. So this is our opportunity to let everybody know that the plan has changed a little bit. We don't think it's very significant. It still talks about space needs and allocation of space needs and where we're going to be putting people. It's the same thing, it's just a different building. We always knew going into the plan that there was always the possibility of us not being able to negotiate the price of that building down there. We knew that was a factor, and it was a constant in our proposal, but we did not want to move into it until we got a little bit further with the council to make sure that this is the direction that we all wanted to go in. Since we approved the last bond hearing with the unanimous support, we have one more reading next Tuesday, we felt that it was time to firm this situation up, which we have. So it is now out there publicly. There's nothing being hid. It was all done in a timely manner, but now we're at the point where we need to tell everybody what's going on that part of it. The rest of the plan pretty much stays as goes, and I think that's really the only head fake we have left here. So I just wanted to put that out there for the public, and again, I would ask any other commissioners or Attorney McClure if they'd like to weigh in on any of this or have any comments.
No, we got it covered.
Got it covered. Great. So that's it on the capital improvement plan. That's the latest update. If you want to see us in action, come to the next council meeting next Tuesday evening, and hopefully we can finalize this big step for the county and start moving forward on all the work that's going to be out there to move forward. So chop that off the list. Next up is the South County Communities Grant Match Request. This is for 911 radios. We will be probably at our next meeting, next council meeting in October, we'll be coming forward to the council with a recommendation on a cost for implementing most of our entire county with new 800 megahertz radios. These are dual band radios. We've already gotten some pricing, and we've already moved on getting our ambulances with Porter Hospital. We executed on that agreement at our last meeting, so now our ambulances are going in to getting outfitted for all new 800 meg. We've done some work with the Sheriff's Department. We've done some work with the Highway Department. I know Mike Brickner is working on EMA quotes for outfitting our EMA department. These are departments that are part of county government that will need these radios, and then we will also have another component. We'll be looking at options and ways to help our township communities also being able to help fund them for new radios. Just for the record, so everybody knows, we had Umball do a report for us that shows the pass-through for public safety through to our townships, and there's not a lot of meat on the bone for those folks at all. So because we're mandating this move towards 800 megahertz, we will be helping these townships assist in the first one-time upgrade to get their systems up and compliant with this 800 megahertz. I know we've been talking about 800 megahertz up here for about a year. This is a really big deal. I mean, I can't tell you enough how this moves us into the future with the county. The south part of the county, we talked earlier about two new big 200-foot monopoles, towers that are going up. For people in South County, where we had intermittent reception down south in the past, this is going to take care of all this. And I think it was Chief Biggs had a radio that he turned on that he's been trying them out, and I saw an email go by where he was amazed the stuff that he's hearing from places far away. And that's what this is all intended to do. It's intended for us not to just talk to each other in a county basis, but also to talk with the rest of the state. And it's a great program that the state has. We're stepping up and we're going to be part of it, but it's going to be a big part of our public safety program as we move forward in revamping our 911 call center and revamping our EMA department. This grant that's in front of you right now, fortunately for us, the Couts, Morgan Township, Hebron, and Boone Township, is that right, Jim? I think those are the four, had the foresight about a year ago to put into the federal government for a grant for these radios. They were, about a month and a half ago, we were surprised to hear back that the grant was accepted. This saves the county roughly right around $700,000, $800,000 in radios that we wouldn't have to go out and buy for these four township communities. So with that, the only portion that they were looking to the Board of Commissioners for help with, and the county council, would be a $77,000 match portion. So basically, the county is going to help with $77,000 between four communities. So if you split that by community, that's less than $20,000 per community to benefit over $700,000 in receipt of funds. And we're putting a whole funding program together that we wanted to take to the council in its entirety, but due to the timing of the grant and due to some of the other things, we wanted to move forward on this with the South County communities since they already have their grant in place to get this rolling for them. So they're not waiting on us. It's not just about taking radios out of a box and handing them to people. There's cars that need to be outfitted. There's trucks that need to be outfitted. There's a lot of installation work in these vehicles and other things. So we want to give ourselves as much time possible so we can get all the blocking and tackling done to get these vehicles and our first responders in a position where they have good technology. So this to me sort of, I know I've said this before, but this is a big, hairy deal. This is big time, and I am just so happy that we're moving forward on this because I think it really is a huge advancement for our first responders and being able, all about first responders are being able to communicate. And this is going to set us up on a platform that will be second to none. So I've said my little diatribe, I guess, but I sort of wanted to set the table for everybody so they knew what was going on here. So did I miss anything?
The first motion needs to be for the commissioners to agree to pay the 10% match for the federal grant. The second issue the next issue on the agenda is us actually, and that's one thing we'll clear that up in a second, but the first one is to agree to the 10% match for the federal grant for the South Communities grant for the 911 radios.
So we'll open up the floor for that. Any discussion, or I know, Jim, you've talked to a lot of the people down south about this. Didn't know if you wanted to say anything, or... Nope. Laura?
No, motion to approve the grants. It's nice to help communities that are helping themselves.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the South Communities Grant Match Request for 911 radios. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I don't know, I was calling general. Do we know what the match amount is? Okay, the match amount, just to correct myself, the match amount will be $67,000 based on the actual document.
Yeah, we'll do 10% of the actual document.
10% of the actual document, okay.
Do I need to change my motion, or?
Yeah, let's, no, you don't. Your motion's fine. On the next one,
The next one we want to
we're going to bump that up to $75,000 on that transfer. That will cover us.
So the next on the list is request to transfer funds in the amount of $75,000 from consultants to contractual match. That's just,
It's internal.
it's an internal function where we move the money back around, back and forth.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of a request to transfer funds in the amount of $75,000 from consultants to contractual match? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And I'll get that on the, I've talked to the council president, and we are able to get that transfer request on their next regular council agenda, which would then put us in the position to be able to effectuate the payments.
Yep. The other thing I'd like to point out, too, is that in talking with Motorola recently, we're on a trajectory right now of going live somewhere around the first quarter of 2018 to bring this system up and putting it in place. So we're giving ourselves plenty of time to work up to this, but it's coming, foundations are in. It's good to see, but this thing is moving quickly, and hopefully here by the new year in 2018, we'll be live with our new system, which I know all responders in Porter County, first responders will be pleased with. So just a little housekeeping there. Next on the list, Rhonda Young, our own Rhonda Young. We would basically like to point out publicly and acknowledge publicly that Rhonda has been given a new title and has been named Commissioner's Department Office Manager. And so we just wanted to talk about that publicly, and thank you, Rhonda. You've been a rock back here, and it's been a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to working with you in this even more expanded role. Thank you. Next up, Sheriff Reynolds. Yeah, I saw that. Maybe we'll do him after Sheriff and get all the EMA stuff out of the way. I'm going to do that. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a contract for Colleen Daugherty, I think I said that right. Doherty.
It's close.
A 6-month contract for support analyst. The contract is in conjunction with the Lake County High-Intensity Drug Trafficking Area for the heroin overdose project. So,
Big one.
go ahead.
Well, this is, we originally signed a contract with, you guys signed a contract about a year ago. We hired an intel analyst. We started paying her part-time. Then she was doing such a good job that HIDA then expanded her hours, and then they now pay half her salary, we pay half her salary. So she works with our MEG unit, getting all of the information off the phones, and without getting to a lot of detail, but she works really close with DEA and HIDA, with getting all that information, identifying, helping identifying drug dealers, the suppliers that are bringing in the drugs from Chicago into our area. So it's really been very effective. We're probably one of the only counties around here, maybe in the state, that actually has an intel analyst. But it's the way law enforcement's going, and I really can't say enough. She's almost a third-year law student, so we're not really sure what's going to happen. We'll probably lose her in about a year after she graduates, but we know it's been very effective for us.
Great. Hopefully you'll be able to find someone else that can step right in and...
Probably not for
tough.
that price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second for the contract for Colleen Daugherty for support and analyst. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Good deal.
I don't know if I wanted to introduce Chuck Malinowski. Chuck was the actual, I don't know if you worked for that company 15 years ago, but when we built the jail, we did a cost analysis with the federal government to come up with a figure that we got from the government, and actually was very instrumental in that whole federal contract back then 15 years ago. I was contacted by the Marshals Service last week, and they said that we are eligible for a review of our cost. So I contacted Chuck, and he came up from Noblesville. He's looking over. We presented the contract that he's got. It works on a
he can explain it better than I can, but he will put the numbers together, see if the numbers will work, and then if they are, then we submit that then we pay him the extra half, and then we submit that to the Marshal Service. So I just wanted to
And this is for the, this is for our federal
This is
prisoner
right,
payment?
this is just for federal.
So this is the review to make sure that's still, potentially review it to make sure it's in line with current costs?
Right, and I also mentioned it to Commissioner Good this morning that DOC right now, and I'm on a jail study, that they're reviewing our per diem that we're getting from the state, because we get $35 a day. In 1985, we got $35. So they're looking at maybe it should increase. And Chuck's going to work with our ISA and DOC in that cost analysis. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but obviously we're going to have to present, the Sheriff Association is going to have to present some evidence to suggest that it should go up to from 35, but we don't know what that will be. But it should be at least $50. So that will be good for us.
Thank you.
All right.
We look forward to it.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Nice meeting you too, sir. Before we get into the animal shelter, since we just got done with talking a lot about radios and first responders, I'd like to have Mike Brickner, the head of our public safety, to come up and introduce our new head of EMA, which is exciting for us. Mike, good morning.
Morning. Nice standing on this.
You can do whatever you want.
Well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to introduce new EMA Director, Lance Bella, who started yesterday. I think that I'm very confident with the support of the commissioners, and we've had a lot of discussion about how we're moving the organization forward. And I'm confident with Lance is really the first piece of this puzzle to take the EMA organization to a level that we envision at here in Porter County. He comes with a vast array of experience. I've known Lance for several years, great character, and I'd just like to take this opportunity to introduce him as he will be really the key individual over to the EMA department. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
I know you got a lot of work ahead of you, but anything that this office can do to help you, let us know.
Thank you.
We mean that. Good luck.
Thank you.
And Godspeed.
Thank you.
Next up, Animal Shelter, Tony Bianchi, Director. This is about an ordinance amending Animal Control Code, Title 6, Chapter 6.04.110, impoundment, subsection 1E. This is first reading, so we'll have to, once again, move into a public meeting and move out of a public meeting. But before we do that, Tony, why don't you give us let's give us a Reader's Digest version on what this is all about.
Okay. In the ordinance, it's a little vague as to when we will impound an animal, normally a dog, when it has bitten someone. So what we tried to do here is clear that up a little bit for not only animal control and myself as well as the public, so they understand that if their dog has bitten a person or another dog or whatever, these are the guidelines that we're going to be using in order to determine whether we're going to impound that dog, take it to court, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this just helps clear that up for us and for the public, I believe. So.
I think that when we adopted this animal control code, I think right when I got here, or was it, this is a code that we've been working off of for some time, but it was amended
Yes.
quite a bit several years ago.
Several years, yeah.
I think anything when you're in animal control, certain things sort of come up that maybe don't fit within your ordinance. This is our effort to go back and to start plugging these holes and trying to come up with more definitive solutions for our gentlemen that are on the street enforcing this, our animal control people, that gives them a much clearer guideline on how they can operate and what they can and can't do. We felt that this area had a lot of gray in it, and so this is our movement after discussing this with Tony, Laura, Commissioner Blaney taking the lead on this. Again, I'd like to point out, we brag about this about Tony, but she's not only our animal shelter director, but she's also a licensed animal behavioralist too. So she is the one that when these dogs come in, she's looking at their temperament, she's looking at a lot of other things. So this is being assessed at our level. The animal control people aren't allowed to assess. They can certainly report in on what has happened, but at the end of the day, that decision is made by our shelter based off our behavioralists and what we're trying to do here. So once again, this is just a function where we're coming in and trying to take the gray out of our ordinance and give our people in the field some black and white that they feel confident in behaving in. So open that up to the floor for any other commissioners to add or subtract or...
No, you covered it. We'll just continue to tweak it and make it
Yep.
more clear for your guys on the street as well as the
Absolutely.
public. So, motion to approve.
Well, we have to go to a public hearing.
I'll do it.
Yep. So right now, I'm going to suspend the commissioners' meeting, open it up to a public hearing. Again, this follows the same guidelines that we talked about before. There'll be 3 opportunities to speak in favor, there'll be 3 opportunities to speak against, and with that, we will move right into it. First call, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Second call, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? Third and final call, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance? We will now move to in favor. First opportunity, first call for anybody to speak in favor of this ordinance. Second call, anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance. Third and final call, anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance, please come forward. And with that, we will close the public hearing. Now, we will reauthorize the commissioners' meeting to move forward, open up the floor to the board.
Now I will make my motion to approve on first reading.
Second. We have a motion and a second, first reading, and an ordinance amending Animal Control Code Title 6, Chapter 6.04.110, impoundment, subsection 1E. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Health Department, Connie Rudd, Nursing Director. She's going to come before us. Sure, come on up. She's going to talk about a proclamation. I didn't steal your thunder, so I'm leaving it open for you to... Okay.
I have it all.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us come up here. Several months ago, the Health Department tries to keep its eye on what's going on in Porter County. Sorry, I've got allergy stuff. But anyway, several months ago, Jenny, who has been involved with the Porter County Substance Abuse Council and watching and listening to all of the, and the Health Department seeing the deaths come in with our death certificates of all the opioid, all the overdose deaths that we have. And Jenny came to me and she said, we need to do something as the Health Department. This is a public health issue. And we know that the sheriff is working. We know that all of these different agencies are working, and they're doing things on their own scope and their own practice to deal with, address the opioid and the heroin epidemic in not only Porter County, but all the counties around us and even the states around us. We're not alone, but it's a huge, huge issue. So working together on August 9th, we convened what we called the Opioid Abuse and Heroin Epidemic Stakeholders Meeting. And we were very gratified to have all of the persons come, the attendees that we did. Sheriff Reynolds and 2 of his folks from the jail came, Justin Mount from Senator Donnelly's office, Senator Charbonneau, Representative Aylesworth, all came along with many of, Judge Gent was there, juvenile probation, Commissioner Biggs came, and we had Sylvia Graham from the county council. There are money people, you know, and but all of the attendees that we had, we wanted to talk about what are you doing to address the opioid epidemic, the heroin death in Porter County, and how can we partner together, you know, and to figure out what each agency, each organization is doing. But then, are we overlapping? Are we duplicating services? But what are the gaps in Porter County? What do we need to go forth and to address this huge issue? So we, you know, after our meeting, then the health department, we had some very in-depth conversation with all these organizations, and the health department decided that it would be very important to have the commissioners join us and with the stakeholders and declare October as the Prescription Opioid and Heroin Epidemic Awareness Month. Actually, October is also nationally, the Substance Abuse Awareness Month. So we wanted to coincide with that, but we wanted Porter County to put an exclamation point on this huge issue. So I did invite not only my health department nurses, but our board. We have Board of Health members here represented, and we have stakeholders here. And I don't know, can I have them just stand up real quick, because I am just thankful. Donna, let's see, Dawn, Justin's in the back from Center. I see our hospital folks back there, Deb Shepard, there's Jay from the jail, and Brenda Sheets, Bill Higby from the Porter County Community Foundation has jumped in, and some good things. These wheels, we're adding more wheels on the spoke all the time, or all spokes on the wheel all the time. So anyway, that's how we got rolling with this, and that's why the proclamation for today. So should I read it? You want me to read
Sure.
it? Is that what you do?
Sure, you can read
it. So everyone knows. So anyway, the proclamation, Prescription Opioid and Heroin Epidemic Awareness Month of October 2017. Whereas there has been a simultaneous rise in opioid use and abuse associated with adverse outcomes. In example, addictions, overdose deaths, insufficient pain relief and treatment alternatives, leading the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, the Indiana State Department of Health, the Porter County Health Department, with the elected officials in Porter County, to classify the overuse and abuse of heroin and opioid drugs as an epidemic. Whereas the Porter County Health Department and stakeholders are encouraging medical doctors and care providers to consider alternative options as a first line of unified defense by implementing safe practices and pain management, as well as opioid abuse prevention and addiction support to address the crisis. Whereas we believe we are stronger when every agency has an opportunity to contribute to the Porter County health epidemic. By working collaboratively, each person has a better chance at success as we unlock their individual potential and empower them to serve others in the same way. Whereas too often we expect people struggling with substance use disorder to self-diagnose and seek treatment. This month, we affirm our commitment to raising awareness about this epidemic, supporting prevention and education programs, and to access to treatment services. Let us assure everyone with an opioid abuse disorder that they can embark on the road to recovery, and together let us begin to turn the tide of this epidemic. Whereas today is the day we stand together with renewed resolution and say enough is enough. We fight one of the most devastating crises facing our community today, the public health crisis of opioid abuse and heroin. Our work has barely begun, so we strive to keep reaching to implement better policies and deliver more resources that we so desperately need. Whereas the Porter County Health Department call upon public officials, legislators, educators, the judiciary, law enforcement, and community leaders from across Porter County to continue with the implementation of these activities and programs. Therefore, be it resolved that Porter County Board of Commissioners officially joins the Porter County Health Department and stakeholders in proclaiming Prescription Opioid and Heroin Epidemic Awareness Month, October 2017, and then it's signed in witness whereof the Porter County Board of Commissioners hereunto set this date of September 19th today, and then it's all signed. And we would encourage you, all of you there in this room, you're all stakeholders. Probably every single one of us have been touched by someone that we love and know that has some kind of drug problem or have lost someone to an overdose death. So we would ask you to, there is a national drug take-back on the 28th of October. Please look in your medicine cabinets, your kitchen cabinets, wherever you keep your drugs, wherever your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, wherever they keep their medicine, clean it out. Take out those things that are not useful anymore, and you can take them to dispose of them at any Porter County Police Department 24/7. And also our health department actually has Narcan kits. Narcan is the drug that reverses an overdose, and they are free. But we do ask people to come in so we can teach them how to use them. So those are a couple of the things that we're doing, and we're forging onward. So thank you for your indulging us.
Thank you, Connie. Open that up to the floor.
I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the proclamation declaring October 2017 Prescription Opioid and Heroin Epidemic Awareness Month. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks for all your work on this.
Veteran Affairs, Jim Atkinson. Come on up, Jim. Morning, Jim.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you?
Morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Hand salute. Two. Commissioners, I'm here to introduce three officers of our local DAV chapter, Mitch Mullins, Barbara Adams-Smith, and Jeff Brooks. They're here to ask for your support in the form of a proclamation to engage in a fundraiser for our local veterans.
Thank you. Do we have the proclamation?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up right now here. So, I'll go ahead and read the proclamation. This is declaring a Forget-Me-Not Drive Day for 2017. By the way, I saw you all out at the Strax in Van Til, and you caught me grocery shopping, so you got some of my money, but that's good.
Thank you.
That's real good. So, I'll go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas the Disabled American Veterans, DAV, is an organization chartered by the U.S. Congress to help the wounded and disabled veterans following World War I and all wars and conflicts thereafter. Whereas the Disabled American Veterans Auxiliary, DAVA, DAVA, was formed and founded on a single impulse of unselfishness desire to render service to disabled veterans and their dependents. And whereas the Disabled Americans Veterans and their auxiliary recognize the forget-me-not flower which grew out of the image carried home from World War I in the memories of soldiers who had seen spring flowers growing among the graves of comrades killed in fighting. And whereas the flower soon became the living history symbol for commemorating those who had fallen or returned home injured with the message, "Please don't forget me," reminding us continually of the service and sacrifice that makes our way of life possible. And whereas this symbol of remembrance has been the staple of chapter-level fundraising efforts that provides non-governmental assistance to our disabled veterans and their families as a grassroots service initiative. And whereas the County of Porter has a proud history of its sons and daughters stepping up to defend the freedoms and principles of our republic against foreign threats, and in some cases becoming seriously injured, wounded, or forfeiting their own lives in service of their country, thereby requiring support from the disabled American veterans with their auxiliary from funds raised through Forget-Me-Not Drive Day. Now, therefore, it is proclaimed by the Porter County Commissioners that September 16, 2017, shall be National Forget-Me-Not Drive Day in the County of Porter, dated this first day of September 2017.
With your permission, I'd like to make a few comments
Sure.
about the DAV.
Sure.
I'd like to start with our mission statement. We're dedicated to empower the veteran to lead a high-quality life with respect and dignity. To accomplish this, we ensure that all veterans get the full benefits for which they are due, and we lobby on Capitol Hill for legislation and funding for the VA, and also through our educational programs with the public. The DAV is a nonprofit 501c3 organization. One of the things we do is work to provide a lifetime support for veterans, their families. There's 1 million veterans each year that we help. We do 670,000 rides. I know you've all have seen the little DAV van up at the main post office. We provide those to the VA. We also provide the drivers for them. These are all volunteer people. The vans are donated. The VA does pay for the maintenance and the fuel for it, but we provide the drivers. We haul primarily veterans from Porter County over to Crown Point to Adam Benjamin, where they can catch the bus for their appointments at Jesse Brown in Chicago, and we also make sure that they get a ride back home. In 2016, the DAV helped secure $4 billion in assistance through their VA claims programs. And we have 1,300 chapters, and we have 1.3 million members. Our Porter County chapter right here, currently we have 117 members. But more importantly, we have 3 nationally recognized service officers that work for us. We draw veterans from primarily Porter County, but also the eastern edge of Lake County, Newton, Stark, Jasper counties, and the western edge of LaPorte County. In the past 2 years that we've been chartered, an informal survey has shown that we bring approximately $1 million back to our service area in increased or new claims for veterans.
Per month.
That is a month. And
A month?
A month.
Oh, wow.
And it has taken us two years to reach that goal. But there's a big need for our services here in Porter County, and we thank you on this day.
You bet.
We thank Jim.
We thank you.
Yeah, and we want to especially thank Jim. He's one of our main forces here. He's also one of our service officers.
Yep.
So, all right.
Motion to approve the proclamation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve proclamation declaring a National Forget-Me-Not Drive Day in honor of disabled American veterans. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Keep
Thank you.
doing your good out there.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And salute. 2.
Don Wilson, come on forward. Morning, Don. Go ahead and tell us what you're coming here in front of us for, Don.
Okay. We have a contract with Nitco. We want to run some fiber between the courthouse and the administration building to replace my 300 megabyte wireless that we currently have. It'll increase the speed by 50, a little over 50, once we do that. One of the stumbling blocks is we have to replace all the switches in the 2 buildings also to really make use of the 50 increase. So that's on our agenda for something else.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve NITCO contract for the construction of a fiber optic connector for Porter County government from the courthouse to the government center. The total contract amount is for $11,032.52, of which $9,562.50 is labor and $1,470 is materials. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Get that fiber going.
Thank you.
Next on the list, we have Rich Hudson, MS4 Director of Porter County Stormwater Management, and he's here to talk about another proclamation. You have the floor, Rich.
Good morning, thank you. I had been before you probably for the last 4 years around this time, I believe it's the same week in September, for a proclamation declaring Septic Smart Week for coastal communities. Now, we don't live on a coast, but we have the northern part of our county is on the south side of Lake Michigan, and from about Valparaiso north, all of the water flows to that area and impacts that area, and a septic system for which probably 90-95% of the unincorporated areas in Porter County use, and they don't always function because we don't take care of them like we do other things around our house. So it's to bring that awareness that a septic system maintenance program is very important from an illicit discharge. That illicit discharge goes into Salt Creek, finds its way on to Lake Michigan, and then we have degradation. So this is just our continuing effort to move that quality the quality of water, to continue to work at that. We're not perfect, but maintenance programs do work, and this proclamation is to bring that awareness out to everybody. So I would ask that you declare this week, yesterday was our first day, the 18th through the 22nd of 2017, Septic Smart Week, and also allow a display banner out in the rotunda area there. I believe you received a picture of it. Just it's an eye catcher, to get people to understand and see what we're trying to achieve with this. I do not have the proclamation to read, but it is the same. It should have been in your packet.
Let me see if I got it.
I apologize.
That's all right. We should have it here if I can open up my, I'll go ahead. Oh.
Thank you.
So Septic Smart Week for Coastal Communities proclamation, September 18th through the 22nd, 2017, whereas throughout Northwest Indiana, many communities rely on septic systems or on-site wastewater treatment and disposal systems to dispose of wastewater from their homes and businesses. And whereas septic systems can fail or malfunction, polluting our lands and waterways, causing public health hazards and natural resource degradation. And whereas educating home and business septic system owners about the need for periodic inspection, maintenance, and properly daily use can result in the highest possible standard of safe, sanitary, and environmentally sound on-site wastewater service. Now, therefore, the County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim September 18th through the 22nd, 2017 as Septic Smart Week. And we encourage in Porter County and encourage all residents and businesses to join in this observance.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation for Septic Smart Week for coastal communities. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Rich. Next, we have Wildlife Management Board, Bob Gregg. He's not here. Okay. First on the list, we have a request for the approval of the Indiana Wild invoice in the amount of $850 to approve a live animal show for Celebrate Wildlife. Do they have a fund for this? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve a request for Indiana Wild invoice for the Celebrate Life Animal Show. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 2 is a request to approve a reimbursement to Melissa Culbertson for collecting the garbage on a weekly basis for the month of April, May, June from the Paul C. Zona Senior Wildlife Sanctuary. The invoice is an amount of $300. To the board's pleasure.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve the reimbursement to Melissa Culbertson for collecting garbage for April, May, and June from the Wildlife Sanctuary. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the list is a request for the approval of the Incredible Bats invoice in the amount of $525 to provide entertainment for the Celebration Wildlife Show.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Incredible Bats invoice for the amount of $525. I want to see these bats, if they're called incredible. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, Valparaiso events, a request to use the courthouse grounds on Friday, October 20th, from 2 to 7 p.m. to hold the Fall Harvest Festival and trick-or-treating downtown.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the courthouse grounds on Friday, October 20th, from 2 to 7 to hold Fall Harvest Festival and trick-or-treating downtown. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. If any of you have never been in downtown Valparaiso during that event, when the kids and everything are trick-or-treating downtown, you really need to come and look at it. It's quite an event. It's very well done. A lot of kids. It's just a wonderful day downtown, so don't miss it. And with that, we are now at the end of this meeting. Do we have any other folks out there that would like to address this board? If not, this board stands in recess. Have a great day.